Keeping up with the kids, increasing minority teacher and administrative representation in our schools. One challenge in Arkansas education is narrowing the mismatch between student racial and ethnic diversity and that of the educated workforce, so that our teachers and our administrators are as diverse as our students. Let's discuss why minority representation is important and how targeted recruitment strategies might be a good way to go about increasing this representation. Then we'll take a look at a few planning habits for teams that are engaging in this work and how the Equity Assistance Center might be able to support you all in your efforts. Some of the reasons why Arkansas has been posed with such a task includes research, Arkansas statutory requirements, and Arkansas data trends. Regarding diversity research, diversity in educators has significant ramifications for students and schools. Minority teachers can uniquely serve as role models for minority students. When those students see educators who share their racial or ethnic backgrounds, they not only gain a visual representation of success by someone that looks like them, but they often come to view the school as a more welcoming place. Research argues that teachers that mirror their students might have in common with them similar experiences and cultural backgrounds. This science does not express that non-minority educators cannot provide similar benefits to students, but it does convey that an environment where students can interact with people who look or act differently can build social trust and creates a wider sense of community. In essence, all students, minorities and non-minorities, benefit. Research says that diversity contributes to a healthier workforce by giving everyone, students and teachers, a clear and concrete sense of what multiculturalism looks like in education and in our society. Arkansas Statute 617-1901 and 617-1902 requires that school systems with more than 5% minority students to implement a minority teacher and administrator recruitment plan. The statute considers the term minority to be a person that is a member of a racial or ethnic minority population. This law specifically requires that the recruitment plan emphasize the recruitment of African Americans and other minority teachers and administrators and plan to encourage minority students to pursue a career in education. This plan must include a goal for equity in employee composition that mirrors the diversity of the school. It must include recruitment goals for the upcoming school year as well as the next 10 school years. The plan must report to its stakeholders the efforts already made and those that will be made to achieve their set goal. It must report their progress in recruiting minority educators and, if needed, report the reasons for not meeting the goals set. Lastly, the minority teacher and administrator recruitment plan must report the number and the percent of racial minorities employed as teachers and administrators for the last 5 years. This report must also include the racial composition of the student body, as well as the residents of the district or charter area. The minority teacher and administrator recruitment plan must be submitted every school year on or before October 15th. Along with the division's provided cover page, which should be signed by the superintendent, the board president, and the board secretary. The statute does not specifically state that the plan must be approved or formally adopted by the board, but doing so is a suggested practice. The local school board's review of the plan ensures a clear district direction and effective communication. The submission of this plan and cover page to the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education certifies that the school system is also in compliance with Standard 2A for accreditation of Arkansas Public Schools. We encourage school systems with a minority student composition of 5% or less to notify the Equity Assistance Center by submitting only the signature page with the box marked stating the district or charter minority student composition is 5% or less. In these instances, a recruitment plan is not required. Must neither a coordinator name nor board member signature be placed on the signature page. In Arkansas, during the 2019-2020 school year, minority students made up of almost 190,000 of the school population. This represented a proportion of 40%. As compared to 3 years prior, this increased by a rate of 3%. in large part due to the increase in the number of Hispanic students in Arkansas. For the same year, minority teachers represented around 12% of the profession. Their rate of increase from 3 years ago was 8%. It's also noted that African American and Hispanic educators reflected the least mirroring of the student population. Despite having a higher rate of increase in minority teachers as compared to minority students, the current rate is not large enough to catch up. Administrators within college teacher preparation programs often describe a shortage of minority teacher candidates. Administrators within school systems describe the pool of certified educators as small, and especially so for minority educators. Some of the recruitment strategies that we will discuss are aimed at appealing to minorities that would not apply to teacher prep programs or submit teacher applications without some intentional efforts of the school system. As students and families within schools become more diverse, strategies within the school to support students both academically and behaviorally must become more aligned with those students' experiences, needs, and culture. Targeted recruitment strategies is one way to aid in the alignment of student needs on the front end. Although the numbers are stark, there are tactics that work to ensure that the educators in schools mirror the students filling the seats by intentionally recruiting and using novel approaches beyond typical school-wide postings. Targeted recruitment is slightly different as compared to broad recruitment strategies. Targeted recruitment uses data to identify specific segments of the workforce that are needed in the school. So once this is identified, the strategies are then chosen based on where those qualified candidates are likely to be. The intent of targeted recruitment is to be intentional and to seek out applicants with specific characteristics that best connect that person with the needs of the school. Broad recruitment strategies cast a wide net to locate potential applicants and does not use data to spotlight a particular school need. This method is often seen as fair to all applicants, but it can be limiting, just in a different way. Broad tactics can lead to certain individuals being overlooked either because the wide net led to a high number of applications that must be sifted through, or because there is minimal support in the application process, or because broad tactics typically do not intentionally encourage individuals that normally would not respond to wide recruitment. Let's dive in and look at some non-conventional recruiting strategies of partnering and posting positions that may aid in achieving our recruitment goals. We could recruit minority candidates living in the local area from non-traditional social pools. We could try posting positions at churches, local businesses, chambers of commerce, libraries, multicultural centers, your own district's alumni associations, or community newspapers that are managed by minority groups. We might partner with or post in post-secondary institutions like trade schools, 2 or 4 year colleges, and within their cultural studies departments, especially those institutions with large minority populations. Relationships here might create a minority teacher pipeline between your school system and higher education teacher preparation programs. Particularly schools with the greatest need for diversity in staff should obtain some type of shared commitment with these institutions and programs. This might look like meeting with the appropriate deans and their students, or even asking some of your staff to speak or guest lecture at their classes, for them to describe to the students there what it is like being a teacher in your building. This type of shared commitment might even lead to opportunities for you to interview candidates prior to them even graduating. We could also consider partnering with and posting positions with professional organizations that represent diverse groups to connect the school with professionals currently working in the field that have content knowledge and possible interest in non-traditional routes to licensure. Some example organizations throughout the state are listed on this slide. We could also develop deeper relationships with our local educational cooperatives. These individuals might have close ties with many minority educators in the area, some of which might be seeking other opportunities. Talk with any of your partners about building needs that you all have and ask if they can help identify individuals that might meet those needs. Identify a liaison to maintain these partner relationships. This could be the coordinator of the Minority Teacher Administrative Recruitment Plan or the Equity Coordinator. Is it possible to provide to your staff compensation or other benefits for their participation in minority recruitment and outreach? Maybe even encourage their participation in a recruitment committee to gain a different perspective and to brainstorm targeted recruitment ideas. Is it possible to offer recruitment bonuses to staff that refer candidates who are ultimately hired and complete a probationary period? Are staff aware of open vacancies and how much you all value their referrals? Do we already post open positions on LinkedIn or Facebook to reach a tech-savvy audience? A social media presence might attract qualified teacher and administrator candidates with minimal use of district funds. We could also hold virtual recruitment fairs. Instead of traveling to the college and university, we can meet prospective teachers online and have conversations there. It would be a good idea to be continuous in our recruitment efforts, not only when there are open positions. So maintain the partner networks throughout the year by making contact with them and helping them in their needs, such as promoting their teacher preparation program as they assist you in your needs. Feel free to remember strong candidates for future openings by keeping their resumes and contact information on file. We discussed some about seeking non-conventional talent. Let's discuss this further and how the district might be able to support this novel talent. Some school systems facilitate structured high school educator career pathways or grow your own models that target minority students. The most effective of these programs are very structured. They might include teacher job shadowing or student mentoring or even internship opportunities over the summer. High school counselors might even connect with teacher preparation program staff for them to come and promote their programs, especially to minority students in the school. Have we considered recruiting linguistically diverse individuals? Because English as a second language teacher candidates are often Latino and Latina native Spanish speakers. Thus, recruiting these diverse candidates might bring in more minority candidates. We could also recruit minorities as educational aides, teacher assistants, substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, and after-school program mentors. Have we inquired with these individuals currently in these positions to see if they have interest in teaching in the future? We may need to provide them information on needed certification coursework or available financial resources. If we have the resources, we could offer direct assistance, instruction, and tips on preparing to take the license test. Also, the district or charter might be able to assist in license certification costs. Here are some additional recruitment strategies that address other barriers of potential applicants. How much do we personalize our efforts? Can we call targeted applicants and follow up with them after an initial meeting to ease their unfamiliarity with the application process? We can offer the opportunity for potential candidates to get a sense of the work environment or the local diversity through a community tour, local events, or informal team building experiences. This may ease possible apprehension regarding particular locations. Can we make available any financial incentives for targeted new hires, such as bonuses, stipends, loan forgiveness, continuing education scholarships, or offer them the support of a teaching assistant? In our partnership with higher education, could we offer paid internships or residencies in high-needs fields for minorities? Share information on the Minority Teacher Scholars Program to African American, Hispanic, Asian American, and Native American students. This program was designed to provide scholarships to these students who will be attending Arkansas colleges and universities with approved teacher education programs. Some districts provide housing incentives, such as funds for rent, relocation, or down payment assistance. Another strategy might be to showcase and highlight the school system's attributes, especially those that are appealing to the targeted audience. Can we describe some of our leadership training programs and mentorship opportunities? Is there any career advancement and development data available to publicize how many teachers grow and move up in our organization? For potential administrator candidates, Principal for the Day events or similar experiences can expose these leaders to the day-to-day role of the principal, vice principal, and the dean. Share how leadership skills and personal competencies are developed. To draw in minority educators who have a public service commitment, we could promote teaching as a way to give back and to help all students, especially minority students. How much do we convey to potential minority applicants their value-added contribution to the school due to their multicultural backgrounds and urban school experiences? We could also describe our course offerings that emphasize urban or multicultural education, and we could share our work with linguistically diverse populations, all to reflect the school system's efforts of inclusion and our desire to teach students the value of inclusion. Share any staff retention programs, including those that encourage affinity, kinship to prevent feelings of isolation. If needed, train employees and hiring managers that are sharing the attributes of the local school prior to them engaging in recruiting, just to make sure they are fully aware of what the school and the district has to offer. There are 4 key habits for planning targeted recruitment, and they are shared commitment, alignment, theory of action plans, and relationships. The foundation of any plan includes a shared commitment to its purpose and achieving its goals. Team members should have a belief that increasing teacher diversity will enhance student relationships and connections with teachers. They should agree that the work would aid in shrinking the achievement gap between students. Evidence of a strong commitment is seen in how school systems train and improve staff in their capacity to engage in some form of targeted recruitment. Another planning habit for teams engaging in targeted recruitment is to align these efforts with already established diversity and inclusion practices, as well as the overall vision of the school system. Recruitment work should be viewed as one of the methods to achieve the overall vision. Effective plans must fit into the context of the school community, so efforts must be individualized. Different communities within Arkansas have different populations, strengths, and concerns to consider when planning. Every recruitment approach and ultimate plan must be tailored to fit each community context. The third planning habit for intentional minority recruitment is to implement a 3-pronged theory of action plan, which is inherently within each minority teacher and administrator recruitment plan. First, the team must use data to identify the specific teachers, administrators that align with the diversity needs of the school and students, such as using the data housed in Cognos or MySchoolInfo. The use of data is paramount in targeted recruitment because it is the school's justification for seeking out varying individuals based on a specific demographic. The Arkansas Statute 617-1901 and 617-1902 describe some of the data to be collected and reviewed by districts and charters, but that is not an exhaustive list. Districts or charters with plans that reflect their individual need will usually have additional data points individually tailored to those strategies. Second, the team must engage and appeal to these individuals and encourage their application. Prior to picking a recruitment strategy, the team should analyze the effectiveness of their current strategies. Also, the team's decision on which strategy to use should hopefully in some way address the barriers of those potential targeted applicants. Monitor the diversity of the applicant pool as you recruit. If the pool has a lack of diversity, make adjustments to your strategies prior to the hiring process. Third, the team must review and share the outcomes of meeting their goal. Clear goals that are written to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely make it easier for a team to determine when those goals are met. The team should report to school stakeholders the successes and pitfalls of their plan. The last effective planning habit is strong relationships. There are relationships between education institutions and minority communities, between minority and majority educators, between mentors and mentees, and between recruiters and prospective educators. The district or charter recruitment plan coordinator might be the individual to facilitate the building of some of these relationships. Arkansas Code 617-1902 requires an employee be designated to coordinate the implementation of the plan. Coordinators should also be a point of contact for all planned actions. They should self-audit the application and promotion process for inequitable practices and review the demographic makeup of core hiring teams to ensure diverse representation. The Arkansas Division of Elementary and Secondary Education Equity Assistance Center supports K-12 public school systems in their intentional recruitment of minority educators. In this effort, the center within the upcoming 2020-2021 school year will begin to provide assistance to districts and charters after reviewing their submitted minority teacher and administrative recruitment plan. This support would include sharing resources, targeted recruitment strategies, feedback on statutory compliance, and recognition of any effective planning habits, including those discussed in this presentation. The review of submitted plans will occur on a rotation basis, reviewing all districts and charters over the next 8 years. This support will be shared via email to the listed coordinator placed on the plan's cover page. This presentation, as well as the supported review sheet, are available on the Equity Assistance Center's webpage. A Commissioner's memo describing minority teacher and administrative recruitment plan requirements and submission date is regularly published in August every year. Considering our discussion today, how can your team better appeal and target your recruitment strategies to fill your school system's diversity needs? Are there any planning habits that need to be made more effective? Some things to look for from the Equity Assistance Center include more guidance documents on minority recruitment, as well as the sharing of effective strategies currently being used in schools. For additional information on recruitment, access the Equity Assistance Center's webpage or the Educator Effectiveness webpage. That unit comprehensively supports educator recruitment and licensure pathways.